Welcome to another episode of Menopause Matter, where we wanted to give you all the advice to support you during this menopause stage. We understand how difficult it may be with all the symptoms and things that we don't understand. That's why that we have experts speaker here to share with us their knowledge and their experience. Today, we're going to talk about another sensitive subject. It is hysterectomy. It is something that a lot of women have a very fearful feeling about it. It's like, oh, what are they going to do now? Like, how does my body going to react? And I hear a lot of women actually go straight into menopause after having this operation done. So, what is the best person to ask? I have Hayley over here. Hi, Hayley. Thank you so
Hi,
much for sharing with us your experience.
you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
So, please, Hayley, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Hayley Latham. I'm from Queensland, Australia, and I'm a trauma therapist coach. Utilizing my extensive toolkit in timeline transformations and hypnotherapy, I facilitate rapid change in my clients' emotions and lives.
That is amazing. So, how do you actually? I know that you have experienced this surgery yourself. Can you tell us a little bit of your background about it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're anything like me, menopause was just one of those things that may or may not happen to you, right? And that's a little bit like cancer. We know people who've had it, but we very rarely believe that we'll get it. And then you get it, and you have to have a hysterectomy as well. I always swore I would never have a hysterectomy. My mum had to have one due to her ovaries. She had, you know, something wrong with her ovaries, and she was only 23 years old. It was just after she had me. And I saw the pain and the suffering that it caused her. It really affected her whole life. In actual fact, her trauma was my trauma, and I felt every part of her pain. And I guess I was never going to let that happen to me until it did. So I got a cancer diagnosis um, where I had cancer in my uterus. I had womb cancer, um, and I had to have the hysterectomy. And so, for me, it was, I was blindsided. You're on this journey. You're strong. You're brave. You're resilient. Many women in a similar position are also scared and overwhelmed, maybe feeling alone. You thought you were prepared, but now you're blindsided by waves of emotion and uncertainty that no one really warned you about. You can't seem to focus. Sleep can be elusive, and even the simplest things can feel like climbing Everest. This emotional roller coaster is making recovery so much harder and can keep women from living their fullest life. And it's not because you're not trying hard enough, right? The things that you're feeling are real and not just part of having a hysterectomy. They are symptoms that your emotional body needs a reset.
Mm. I really hear you and felt what you said there. It is so true. So if I may ask you a few questions, like how understanding how trauma can cause the disharmony in the body after all that surgery is done.
Yeah, good question. Well, traditional medical care often overlooks the emotional and the psychological aftermath of a hysterectomy, or even when we go into menopause or anything else that happens, any trauma. So, according to a hysterectomy, they send women home with pain meds, post op instructions. But what about women's feelings and fears, right? Um, we might think we're going crazy, but these feelings are real. Imagine focusing not just on the physical healing, but also the emotional healing, healing not only the trauma of the hysterectomy, but also past traumas and fears directly, and turning this challenging journey into a process of growth and self discovery. For me, a lot of my trauma came up when I got my diagnosis, and it was a reflection of what had occurred in my life, of what I hadn't healed. So I was able to come out of that through healing myself in looking in the mirror and liking the reflection, looking back at me and to know that I was able to heal physically at a super fast speed, to feel good about myself and confident in my healing journey, to find balance and feel energy like I really desperately desired, because the fatigue sets in. Um, so when we can identify the key emotions from the past, we can quickly like increase the energy in our bodies, heal rapidly, improve our sleep, get back to our usual selves again, if not better. So it's really about resetting the emotions and rewiring the beliefs behind the dis-ease that's in the body,
Mm.
restoring our nervous systems. Yeah.
I hear you because that is something that I think a lot of people can't see the connection. Like, how does trauma relate to our body's discomfort? Like, how does that happen? That is, our past trauma can affect how we're going through menopause. Can you go a little bit more deeper into that
Yeah.
thinking?
Absolutely. So, trauma is basically a significant negative event that happened at one time in our lives, and the way that we interpreted it caused it to be a trauma. So, a trauma can be as simple as being a 3-year-old and your lollipop was taken away from you, to something really heavy that you might have experienced, child abuse, or something else, a surgery. And so what happens is we have the event, we have the memory in our subconscious mind of what happened, and then we have the emotion that we felt at the time. And this attaches to that memory. And this is what we find you'll probably be able to relate to as a trigger. And so when you're triggered by the memory that of what happened to you, then you get the emotion, you get a feeling coming through like it's happening all over again, right? That's why we're talking about how trauma affects the body.
And it is so true because I think a lot of us are thinking that, oh no, we don't have trauma. We don't see it as a trauma. It's weak to have trauma and triggers. And that's one of the things that I highly suggest women to realize, that having trauma is just a part of life. And being asking for help is not a sign of weakness. What is your view on that?
Well, often we get the wake up call through our body with the disease, or with the illnesses, or with the discomfort in our body. It's a wake up call. It's trying to tell us something. It's trying to tell us that we have unhealed trauma.
That is true. That is true. That so, if you can decode why menopause is so hard for some, and what is your body is trying to tell you.
Well, I'll share my story a little bit further. After I got my diagnosis, I went to 0 to 100 in a matter of weeks. I was referred to the big hospital in the city because I live in a little country town. And I was told a whole gynae oncologist team was going to take good care of me. But when I arrived, woman after woman just sent through a process of having, the weight checked, the height checked, the bloods taken, and then finally you see the gynae oncologist team only to be told you have to have a hysterectomy and it has to happen quickly. Now, for some of us, it's a bit of a longer process because we haven't got the C word, the cancer. It might be endometriosis, it might be fibroids, it might be something else, but you still go through this process, and you ask if you can maybe keep your ovaries. And for me, I was shut down by my doctor and told that's not how we do things around here. So my ovaries were really important to me, as I watched my mum and what she went through, and I really wanted to keep them, but it wasn't the way they did things. So I allowed for it to happen. Everything was removed, and I was hopeful that the menopause wouldn't happen, or it wouldn't happen for a while. Surely I had enough estrogen stores to do me a couple of years longer, but I was so wrong. Within 10 days of the surgery, I was a hot mess. I soon realized that the hot flushes that everyone talks about were 100% real. I felt like I was going through some horrible nightmare and I'd soon wake up. So I had to really do a lot of research online to find ways to combat it naturally, because the doctors didn't really give me much of anything to go off. So in the end, I decided to turn to my hypnotherapy. And I created a series of programs to help my body regulate. It helped me so much. I can't tell you how much it helped me. And by that time, I knew I really had to share this with other women, because I knew it couldn't just be me who was going through this. Menopause is hard because we keep trying to do what we did before. We trying to do all the things, yet we're forgetting the one thing, which is us, ourselves. Menopause, to me, is a time for you. It's a time for you to get back to what you want and what you need and what you desire. And I found hypnotherapy an amazing tool to help me, because I could finally sleep, um, and not wake up like a zombie. I could finally function without anxiety. I could move my body again. I just felt more like me.
That is so good to hear that how hypnotherapy actually helped you and many other women to actually get back to themselves. I'm also one person that who have practiced and experienced hypnotherapy. I absolutely love it. It's
Yeah,
so much easier sometimes to work from the unconscious mind before the conscious mind. There's a lot less resistance against it, and I find that that is one of the key of success.
100%.
Mm. So, if I may ask you, I think a lot of women in menopause, and especially after they have the surgery, they probably will find that they're struggling with that belly fat that they have after the surgery. So, how can a woman who went through the surgery support their body?
Yeah, absolutely, Martha. It's a big problem. And I know I experienced it for myself. And I see a lot of clients who are also experiencing the belly fat. And there's a few reasons women put on weight after a hysterectomy or during menopause. Um, so during my time in helping overcome many people in my clinic with weight problems, I adopted a saying that I still use very often, and that is that weight is never about food. Yes, you have to eat more food than you need to put on weight, but why? Why do so many of us struggle with food? One reason is because of comfort. Food is comfort. We were nurtured from with food from the moment we were born. When we were crying, we would be given a bottle or we'd be giving the breast, right? We were always comforted with food. And when things go wrong or pear-shaped in our lives, some of us can again turn to feel food to feel that comfort, to feel that safety, to feel that nurturance. Now, when we're faced in life, such as major surgery like a hysterectomy or entering the full swing of menopause, most women will have a mountain of emotions swirling around in them, and they're usually not the nice kind, right? Negative emotions, long held trapped emotions, and limiting beliefs that cause more negative emotions can make even the best of us feel really low, really tired, and quite frankly, completely out of sorts. And so, with that being said, you can turn to food to feel that comfort from those unwanted feelings. I know for me, menopause really brought up what I hadn't dealt with from my past, my traumas. And like I said before, traumas don't have to be massive things. They can be small things, and they can be big things, and they can be everything in between. And when you think about going through the major change in your body through menopause, through hysterectomy, um, the hormones that you were, that you had, that you don't have anymore, they were taking care of your moods. They were often balancing your metabolism so that your body metabolized foods. And while our bodies are adjusting to all of this, we need to work with the body a little more finitely. It's most likely it won't be the way that you used to work with it. And I've got a few tips here. We think that what's worked for us in the past, in our younger years, fad dieting and restrictive eating was the way to go, or upping the workouts, getting more cardio. But it's really not about that. This is about treating our body in really listening to our body of what it needs. And what I found to work for me was really increasing my micro habits. My micro habits are small, consistent changes that you make over, every in your daily life that are easy to follow. They're not massive change, and they just allow the process of change to happen easily and gently. So first we need to discover, what we should be eating and then how to eat. I'm no dietitian or doctor, but what I can tell you is from the research I've done, and through my journey and my clients' journeys, our adrenal glands are really affected by menopause and surgical menopause after hysterectomy. These hormonal glands take on the brunt of our change, and what's really important for those adrenal glands is to lower our stress levels. Now, when we put our body under pressure, under tension, like cardio workouts, like stress, your day-to-day stress, work, kids, all of that stuff, that's going to have an impact on our adrenals. And now our adrenals are the ones that are actually having to step up and help us. So we need to help them by supporting them. Some of the best ways in which we can support our adrenals after a hysterectomy and during menopause is to do micro habits. These could look like eating within 20 minutes of rising so that the body doesn't think that it's starving, eating healthy carbs with every meal, rather than the unhealthy. And I think that we're all pretty familiar with what is healthy carbs and what's not these days. But in my programs, I go into more detail with that. Eating plenty of natural plant foods. And like I said, avoiding the cardio workouts so much, because we need to treat our body like in a different way now. It's not going to it's not going to work as well on the old things we used to do. So walking, yoga, Pilates, and weight bearing exercises are going to be really, really powerful for us. Going to bed before 10, allowing ourselves that full 8 to 9 hours sleep, but also nourishing our mindset and processing our emotions are super, super important.
That is so true. I love what you just shared with us there. So, can you tell people more about what your course is about?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually got 3 courses available at the moment. One for women who are wanting help through the hysterectomy. It's called the Hysterharmony pathway, and this is a 4-week program where we can really start to help these women through the emotions that they've experienced through their hysterectomy and out to the other side of it. And the second program we have is the Menopause program. And this is another 4-week program where we really help women in working through the menopause challenges, so that we use a combination of hypnotherapy and timeline therapy to release emotions, release that old trauma, and be able to come through this next phase of their lives feeling positive and empowered, to step into their goddess phase is what I call it. And finally, the last program that we have on offer is the Body Renew program, which is all about really working with that belly fat problem through ways in which we use with hypnosis, changing beliefs about the way we see food as comfort, changing the way we see food, the limiting beliefs, all of the things that we were raised to believe about food, and the way that we treat our bodies, so that we can really get into the body that we desire.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to put all those courses and detail into the show notes so all our good members can come in and actually have a look.
Absolutely. We have VIP options where you work one-to-one with me online, and we also have the standard where you work with me as an online group sessions. Now,
Mm.
at the moment, just for the group, I'm offering a 50% discount on the online group session. So that will be 4 sessions over 4 weeks, and that will come down from $497 to only $250 for a whole 4-week program working with me. And that doesn't matter whether it's the Hysterharmony program, the menopause program, or the 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 Body Renew program.
That sounds amazing. That's such a good offer. Thank you so much for doing it for our group here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
And remember, audience and listener, we only get 7 days on this special. So
Yeah.
use the code YTG40 plus when you get in contact with Hayley here. I will put her detail in the chat box there so you can reach out to her when you need. Once again, thank you so much for you giving our time today. It has been such a knowledgeable session. And I have seen a few people in our group that is needing your help, which I have been tagging you on. And thank you for supporting our group with your time too.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to all our audience and our listener. And I look forward to seeing you at next episode of Menopause Matters.